Welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Cubs Brewers series in Milwaukee this weekend. Let's take a look at how these teams have been doing recently. First, we'll take a look at the standings. NL Central standings, Brewers in first place at 48 and 33, 6.5 above the second place Cardinals. Cubs currently sitting last at 38 and 44, 10.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, take a look at how these teams have been doing coming into this series. The Brewers just finished off a sweep of the defending champion Texas Rangers, and now they've won 4 in a row. The Cubs, they salvaged a game out in San Francisco with a 5-3 10-inning win yesterday. As for how these teams have done against each other this year, they've already faced off 7 times. The Brewers lead the series 4-3, including winning the last two those were at American Family Field. But these two haven't seen each other since the end of May. It's almost a month. Now, let's take a look at where these games are going to be played. American Family Field in Milwaukee. Let's look at some of the StatCast ballpark factors. So, one of the interesting things to me about American Family Field is it's about average in terms of runs scored there. As you'll see there, 21st, but 98 out of 100 would be average, so just below average in runs per game. And they're about the same as a park factor. But if we look at home runs, they're fifth in all of the MLB. So there are a lot of home runs there, but not necessarily more runs scored there. So maybe less extra base hits in general that are not homers. Now let's dive into some of the pitching matchups we're going to get this weekend. Friday night is Jameson Taillon versus Colin Ray. Colin Ray, native of Cascade, Iowa, about 30 minutes from where I'm at here in Dubuque. But 7:10 start on Friday. Let's take a look at the pitcher dashboard I've got here. Colin Ray and Jameson Taillon, Friday night starters. Here's a look at start score. So start score is just a score given to each start, and it's on a percentile basis. So with Taillon's 84, it was an 84th percentile of all MLB starts this year. That's against the Mets. So one thing that jumps out is Colin Ray's last start at San Diego, where it was just 9th percentile. So that was a rough one he's looking to come off of here. Taillon's been real good over his last three straight above average starts. Up here, the one thing I'd kind of note is the negative run expectancy for Colin Ray against lefties. So maybe look for some of the Cubs lefties to get some good chances today. On the right here, we've just got some of the quick hitting stats over the last 7 days for the Cubs and Brewers. We'll see the Cubs 24th in expected weighted on base, Brewers 9th. So clearly, Brewers have been hitting it better over the last week than the Cubs. So let's jump back here to look at Colin Ray in that last start. You can see he gave up 2 homers in that start against the Padres, 5 earned runs. Both of those homers, I did look, came against lefties. Luis Arraez and Jake Cronenworth hit those two. So I think the Cubs do have a good shot tonight with the pitching matchup, as far as that goes. So let's jump into the next one. All right, game 2. We've got Justin Steele versus Tobias Myers. This game will be Saturday at 3:10. 3:10 because it's on FS1. Let's take a look at the matchup for this one. All right, we can see Tobias Myers has been really solid over his last 4. They've all been above average starts. Really good at San Diego in his last. As for Steele, he's also been very good, with the exception of his last start, which was his first below average in his last 4. That was against the Giants. He gave up two homers in that one. Nick Ahmed and Matt Chapman, I believe, got him in that one. So we'll see. Hopefully he can bounce back in this one and keep the Cubs in it. But it could be a tough one for the Cubs offense in this one, as Tobias Myers has really been tough. Finally, on day three, game three on Sunday, we'll have Kyle Hendricks versus Freddie Peralta. Kind of a Freddie Peralta's the all stuff guy. Kyle Hendricks, the professor, just all control. So, but it should be a good matchup here. Um, let's take a look back at the dashboard. Both have been really good in their last two. Hendricks, since rejoining the rotation, two straight above average, really top 25 percentiles in his last two. Peralta been good, but he's known every now and then to have a volatile bad start in there. I think this 10th percentile one you have against the Reds, couple homers in that one. But for the most part, he's really tough to hit. But if the Cubs can get that pitch count up, he can get out of the game, 4 or 5 innings if the Cubs can work that pitch count. Now, I think we'll take a look at how these teams are hitting recently. All right, let's start off. The Brewers, definitely above average, just over the last seven, but ex-WOBA. Unfortunately, see the two Chicago teams, two of the bottom three, and how they've been hitting recently. Another thing to point out here, that this middle one, not one you want to be up at the top at, which is whiff percentage. So as we see, Brewers, one of their things all year has been putting the ball in play, not striking out. They've been really good there. And if you look at these bottom four at the lowest whiff percentage over the last week, it's really four of the hottest hitting teams in baseball. Well, maybe outside of the Diamondbacks, but Padres, Mets, and Brewers have all been swinging it pretty well lately. Now let's take a look at some of the individuals on the Brewers, how they've been for the season. I mean, how can you not look at Christian Yelich as one of the reasons that they've been so good? Yelich is hitting 325 on the year, 7 homers, 34 RBIs. Really, really insane and scary for Cubs fans to see that he's starting to get back to that MVP type of form. The one thing is that you'll notice only one catcher listed, William Contreras. He's been great, but their backup Gary Sanchez is on the IL as of 2 days ago with I think it's some sort of strain, some sort of leg strain. Um, but Eric Haas is now on the roster for the Brewers. He hasn't played yet, but he may see some action this weekend. He's not an overwhelming defender at all, and not great on offense either, but he does have some power. He can hit the long ball a little bit. Some of the other guys we'll look at here, Bryce Turang and Joey Ortiz have been really good at the second and third base positions for them at the plate. And the other thing that you'll need to take into account with the Brewers is the running game. If you look at the stolen bases, I mean, everybody with a stolen base on the year. You've got what, 5 different guys in double-digit stolen bases between um, Turang with 27, or 16 for Yelich, which that's very impressive. Blake Perkins 13, and then 10 for Frelick and Adames. I mean, that's how the Brewers have been successful this year. They get on, and then when they get on, they're moving. Now, if we take a look last 7 days, who's been hot for the Brewers at the plate? I mean, Jake Bauers. Take this whole thing with a grain of salt because I mean only 12 at bats, so it's small sample size. But who's been hot this week? Bauers, Frelick, Contreras, and Yelich. Yelich has to scare you anytime the Cubs are playing him and he's starting to hit it well. So I'd definitely make sure we can try to control Contreras and Yelich at the plate this weekend. As for the Cubs, here's a look at how their rosters fared both this year and in the last 7 days. We'll come back here in a second, but first let's take a look at who's been hot for the Cubs the last 7 days. Love to see Morel's hitting it hard, starting to get it going. Did have a homer or a couple homers over the past week. Suzuki, Horner. If Horner can get it going, Horner and Swanson, that could be huge. But I mean, for the most part, the whole team, anything would be great. Um, Now we'll head back here as this is going to be part of my keys for the weekend. First key, as we see here, is going to be around the running game, and we saw all the steals the Brewers have, and we look at Miguel Amaya, and we see he's got a 6.3% caught stealing rate, just 2 for 32 on the year. That is going to be a huge issue if the Brewers could start getting on base. And one of the things that is a question coming in is maybe we give Tomas Nido 2 out of the 3 starts. That's in my opinion, but he's shown to be much more effective with the arm behind the plate. That minus 3.52 caught stealing above average for Amaya is just real rough. It's hard to really know what the reason is behind that right now, but that's for for another time. Maybe Nito gets 2 out of the 3 starts this weekend. We'll see. Second, second key for this series is going to be just limiting free, giving the Brewers anything free. That'll be no errors would be huge. The minus 9 outs above average for Morel. That scares me. But yeah, keep and that so that's errors and no walks, keeping that to a minimum, keeping us in the game. The other thing is how are we going to get some runs at the plate? I'm thinking with 3 righties starting for the Brewers, the lefty bats got to show up. So Belly and Bush would be those 2 guys I'm looking at. Hap as well could be thrown in there. Be nice to get some help from Morel and Horner. Morel's really hit righties well this year, so we should look at that. And the Mastrobuoni righty lefty split. Maybe we get Mastrobuoni in there. Who knows? But definitely not against the lefty. Here's a look at my predictions for this weekend. I give the Cubs on paper the best chance to win Friday night's game with Jameson Time going against Colin Ray. Hopefully, they're not too struggling still from a long flight from San Francisco to Milwaukee. But let me know in the comments what you think. Who's going to win? How are the Cubs going to fare against the Brewers this weekend? And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Sweet Home Chicago Sports. I'll see you in the next video.